What's
I'm
that?
actually,
No Man's
I'm
Sky?
pretty excited about that update too.
I don't know, man. He's known for lying, so let's see. Tommy, you're muted. If you're trying to, if you're trying to talk to us, you've been muted for.
Oh no, I even I even did it in the stream too. Oh, sorry. Welcome guys to episode 4. I'm joined today by Captain Tutu, Drunk Canadian, Potato Pleb, and our special guest, Couple Robots. Sorry guys, I'm brain farting all morning today.
I'm
so we got
an emote in just for you.
300 IQ. Oh jeez. So we got a bunch, like, it's leading into these weeks of E3. We're getting a lot of big E3 stuff today that's coming out. A lot of random leaks, a lot of purpose leaks. And then we've also got a lot of, like, kind of oddball news that's kind of happening around. And I'm some of it I'm kind of confused by, but some of it I'm just like, okay, so that's a thing. One of the things we're going to talk about today is starting off with some of our new releases, like content releases and stuff like that. Was the Sea of Thieves new content release this past Tuesday with the Megalodon. It's a Hungering Deep, I believe is the name of it.
Yeah, the Hungering Deep. This is supposed to be a more medium-sized content update. So like they're later ones, so don't expect too much from it. Because a lot of people are saying it's kind of shit. But their next ones, like Curse Sales and the one following that, are supposed to be major content updates. This was just like a medium one.
So they just added a shark?
There's a couple other things, like that patch they rolled back where you could like hand people stuff like bananas and cannonballs. They fixed that and kind of brought that out sort of at the same time. And there's the shark, which you can only get cosmetics for beating it. And there's no replayability. Like once you beat it once, that's it. You've like officially beat the Hungering Deep. So.
Oh.
It's not like running a raid a bunch of times.
No, it's not any sort of random loot table or anything. Like you get one specific cosmetic for your ship. It's like a little fucking idle thing that goes in your captain's quarters, and that's it. Once you get that, it's done.
Seems like a missed opportunity to me.
Yeah.
Well,
it's super sad that it's not an RPG.
It does sort of add in a new sort of game mechanic in a sense. Not really, like that game mechanic was always there, but now to spawn the Megalodon, you have to work with other players. It takes more than 4 people to make it work. So like you have to follow all these riddles all over the map, and then you have to like crew up with like another sloop or a galleon or something. I think you need 6, minimum 6. And then you have to go to a spot, play some drum, the shark drum. That's one of the things they introduced. And then the Megalodon spawns. A horrible battle ensues, you win, and that's pretty much the Hungering Deep.
Jesus. I mean, that doesn't sound like it's, like, I don't know, it doesn't sound as in-depth as I thought.
That seems like a small content update. That doesn't even feel like a medium content update. So like what the large ones are going to be will probably be more like a medium content update. Yeah, but they are supposed to bring out a new ship later this summer. So that'd be kind of nice, something in between a sloop and a galleon, like maybe one of those ramming ships, like a 3-man brigantine or whatever.
Yeah, it's like I know they had a lot of problems with the brig update because everybody was it broke, I guess, at first when they were trying to fix it, like with the private parties, and that got taken out for like a week or 2 or something until they fixed it. And then
they don't have any test server, like they don't have a public test server. That's what I don't understand. So it seems like they're just pushing out content, and then it's broken, they roll it back.
Yeah, it's like, oh, here's the beta for this week, basically.
Yeah, like it's like the main server is their testing grounds, and it's like a teaser of what they're gonna maybe do, but it's always broken as fuck.
That's
the Hungry Deep did launch pretty good though. Like I haven't heard of any glitches or any big major issues with that.
Well, that's
other
good.
than the fact that like once you beat it, it's like, oh, and it doesn't take long either. Like as long as you stock up on a bit of stuff, you can kill that shark relatively easily, and then that's it. It's done.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, like
it is terrifying though. I don't know if you guys have seen clips of it.
I've seen clips of it.
Disgusting.
That thing is like, yeah, it's massive. It's like bigger than a galleon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's got 4 eyes for some reason. It doesn't have glasses. It just actually has 4 eyes.
That design is incredible. I saw it last night. It looks really, really cool.
Oh yeah.
Skeptic just resubbed for 40 months in a row.
Months in a row.
That's dedication, man.
Good lord.
I don't think I've done anything for 40 months in a row. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like a fun update. I'm not sure still what to do with it. I haven't got to play it yet just because everything else is taking up all my time in gaming right now. And I haven't had the desire to go back because it's just like, I feel like I did everything.
It's starting to suffer from the same issue of like late game, the Division, like early Division, where people were like, where's the content? What do we do now? And like everybody's hitting Pirate Legend now, and Athena Quest, I think you only have to get to level 10 to unlock everything. So like once you hit Legend, it's not long on the Athena Quest, and now it's kind of like, well, now what? And there's no PvP stat tracker. There's no like reason to go fight people once you like max out, other than just like dicking people around.
Yeah.
Like, there's really nothing to do once you hit that level, right? And this new content update came around the same time that casual players are hitting Pirate Legend. So it's not even really adding much more end game content.
It added a 4th thing to do.
Yeah, like now you can pair up and go fight the shark. But if you've already done it, it's like, well, it should be. Like, nah.
That was my issue why I fell off of it, is because there's 3 things to do in the game. You know?
Yeah.
And just the 3 different quest types. And they're all fetch quests. So.
Or you're fort hopping, which that's not even as viable anymore. Which was like, that was pretty much the major way to get to Pirate Legend quickly, but now that's kind of broken too. And it was boring as fuck.
Do you guys hear any kind of choppy sound? I don't hear any choppy sound.
Any what sound?
Choppy sound? Somebody was reporting in chat that they hear a strange choppy sound.
I'll unmute the stream and listen.
Well, unless it was just me typing, which everybody can hear.
No, I don't hear it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they probably couldn't hear us because we weren't talking really.
Yeah, they weren't talking.
Yeah, so it was like, don't hear Tutu or, yeah.
But they weren't talking at the time.
Yeah, like, of course you don't hear them.
So the next update we got was actually from one of my more favorite games as of recent, was Vermintide 2. They finally got mod support, which is actually a big thing because the first one had mod support really early on. And they also support more daily quests, a lot more daily quests and more like basically visual content stuff like cosmetics for your characters, which I thought was pretty cool. The mod support is going to be big just because there's so many, like the Games Workshop like community for all of like the Games Workshop related games are really like in depth and very detailed with some of their stuff. Like a lot of games now, I mean, I'm always impressed with the mods that people put out. Like Stellaris, for example, is another game that I heavily mod just because the mods are just so good for that game.
Do you know I still haven't played that game?
We still got to do a co-stream, like a, squad up thing for that.
It's been months. I don't think it's going to happen.
I know. It was the same as Never Convicted 2. He was supposed to get into it, and he hasn't yet.
People were digging it, though, right?
Oh, yeah. Like, the newest expansion they've got, Distant Stars, I think is the name of it. That DLC pack is amazing. It unlocked, like, stuff that I didn't even know I wanted for that game. I was just like, what? So now we could go through wormholes and jump in all around space, which was really cool. Because they did that with jump gates, or these hyper gates you find in certain scenarios. Just depends on how the world was generated when you create your map. And then, yeah, it's surprisingly pretty good. Same thing with this Vermintide 2. Like, I saw some of the update or the mods that people are already putting out, and they're pretty nuts so far. So I'm pretty.
What are some of like the top ones right now?
The one of the big ones is like overhaul packs, like to kind of completely change around your character. That was one of the ones I saw. There's a couple of them where it basically tweaks cosmetics on the enemies, most of them I've seen is just the biggest are cosmetic packs for the most part. Like I haven't gotten to see some of the big ones yet, but what they're coming out with so far is not bad.
I was watching you stream that with, I think, Julie, you and her were playing that, and it was like just hordes of shit was going on. I was like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah, it's basically like Left 4 Dead with that theme.
But in the Warhammer universe, right? Because it's Warhammer, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a Warhammer fantasy. And then they put in like kill counters. That one's pretty cool. One of the big ones I thought was really cool that I downloaded was the bot improvements, like how they handle items. Sometimes they'll handle, like, they pass off items back and forth to each other, and you don't know what the fuck they're doing. You just hear them, like, in the background, thanks for the item, thanks for the item. And they're like, what are you guys doing? Thanks for the item. You guys aren't sharing, huh? Yeah, they're friendly with each other, but screw you in the process.
Nice.
It's like a Canadian standoff where they just keep handing each other the same thing back and forth.
Right.
It's like two people, like, stuck holding a door. No, you go first. No, you.
I know
No, I insist.
In the last couple of weeks, so we're gonna go up to our next topic. Destiny 2 has kind of popped up in our show quite a bit lately, only because Bungie's making a lot of big efforts to improve the game for people, and they want people to know.
Or save.
I guess save their game at this point, pretty much, because they're really like I think I've seen more news on them in the past couple of weeks than I have most other games aside of Fortnite. Just Fortnite.
Yeah, they're really pumping a lot into it to try and revive it because it's not going well.
So they announced that September, or here next week, they're going to be releasing or announcing the content for September, which is going to be the next big expansion, and also their like big roadmap for everything, and then year 2 and all this kind of stuff, and that's getting ready to come out on June 5th. So we're at 9 o'clock in the morning on June 5th. We'll have something to talk about that probably next weekend once the reveal is made. But I'm kind of curious to see what they're going to do with this, because like we've all said, like some people really like the game and have given up on it. Other people are like Potato Pleb is just like, screw that game, I'm never going back. Screw you guys.
I'll never play Destiny, dude.
I'll go back, but after they've released all the content for it, like after everything is released and the game is on sale for like $20, then I'll pick it up again. Because like, I've already spent hundreds of dollars on Destiny, spent 3,000 hours in the first game, and it's just like, it should have been this good to start with. So however many people are like, oh, Destiny's great now, they've updated it. I'm like, yeah, it should have been that good to begin with, and then they should have kept making it better from there.
I still stand by the fact that Warframe is a better, more polished game and more fun, and it's fucking free.
Yeah. And you don't that. And everything about Warframe 2 is just easy to do right off the bat. Like, you don't ever have to like
everything except figuring out what you're supposed to do. Yeah.
Exactly.
No, there's a sweet tutorial now.
I needed
it is confusing.
I needed to stream while playing it, so people told me how to play it.
It's gotten a lot better. I don't know how long ago you guys played it, but it's got a pretty good tutorial now, and it kind of holds your hand a little bit more.
Yeah.
I've been playing it a little bit recently, but I never get very far. I've tried starting the game multiple times and never got very far into it.
I think that's the thing that's, I guess, a challenge of it, well, at least on Warframe's part. It gives you the freedom to do what you want to do, because it's not just, okay, here, we're going to go through this like linear quest line or story part and do this, and then now go, okay, now we've introduced you to all these things, now go out and do your thing. No, at first it's like, no, just go explore, do these planets, because like you kind of get the first idea, for me anyway, you get the first idea what you want to do from just playing the planet and going through, and then it starts giving you all the tips on what you want to do as far as the story goes. It's just kind of a little different approach. I like it, because I like
plus their end game is amazing.
Oh, their end game is really good. I like
like all the voids and like the different like higher end tier things where you got to re-roll things, and like there's actual raid bosses that are worth doing over and over and over again. Like their end game is really well thought out.
Oh yeah. That's what made me stream it and play it for once.
I'm excited about the year 2 Destiny content. If it's gonna follow the same thing from the first year, it took a year for Destiny 1 to get good, with the Taken King and stuff, and they're going back to the Reef, it looks like, and you know, everybody's gonna be calling it the Taken Queen. But I mean, already with Warmind, it feels good to grind, and it feels like the grind is actually back, because I think in Destiny 2 there was no grind anymore. It was story, and then do something, and we're gonna give you all this shit.
Yeah, they catered way too much to casuals at first, so they went like people kind of complain with Destiny 1 it was too grindy, and then it just like super flipped and went the exact opposite way and made it super casual.
Yeah, a little reactionary there, but I'm liking it, man. I'm excited to see, and especially with the PvP stuff that they launched with the last DLC. There's ranks now, 2 different sets of ranking, and actually give you a. Because me personally, I need a reason to keep playing a multiplayer game, and ranking up is almost enough of a reason, you know, and unlocking other gear and stuff.
It's better than what Sea of Thieves has for PvP.
Definitely,
Right? Yeah, that's
nothing.
If I start freaking out and flailing around like a little girl, it's because there's a bee flying around in my room.
It's just a bee, man. It's probably more scared of you than you are of it.
No, I guarantee it's not more scared of me.
Last thing about Destiny 2, I think it's very smart of them to go out and make this announcement before E3, because a lot of people I feel so burnt out and so like hurt by Destiny's layout of their DLC content. So to have this like before E3 and not get lost in the shuffle is really, really smart of them.
Yeah, I think they're
I'll tell
definitely
you, for somebody like me, like guys, I know life Destiny throughout its whole entire lifespan, dude. I have more hours played just in Crucible than a lot of people played in the entire game, you know. And I know there's a lot of people like me that just feel completely burned by it, you know. It's a sad thing because it was supposed to be like my WoW, you know. Like,
Yeah.
It's a good thing Anthem got delayed because I think that would have screwed over Destiny pretty hard.
Yeah.
Anthem. Oh, Anthem.
But now they're claiming that when they come out, they're the Destiny killer. But I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see.
I don't know.
It already
I just
looks
wanna jump around in
way
those suits.
better.
Destiny killed Destiny.
Like, yeah, I was gonna say, like we said last week, Destiny's own enemy was Destiny. So we're gonna go move on to the next topic. Actually, it relates to the same thing. Is Bungie announces their big partnership with a Chinese company to basically make a new game or basically make a new franchise for them. That was kind of interesting. There wasn't a whole lot of detail. They basically kind of went in and like, oh yeah, we're gonna work for this Activision Bungie deal, and it's gonna be its own thing, but we're not gonna tell you what it is yet.
I think they sat down in the boardroom and said, like, what's like Halo but not Halo?
Yeah.
That's their
It's actually
idea.
gonna be Crane Games.
Well, it's just like the Halo thing from a couple weeks ago. I don't think we even got to talk about that. Was how the PC modders got a hold of a PC port and basically made it free to play for everybody, multiplayer, and
Yeah,
people like jumped on that in a heartbeat. Like I saw there's like 20,000 people watching on the first day it was out, and it got shut down. I think the next day.
Yeah, because they used they just made Halo 3 online essentially.
One of the best Halos.
Yeah, no, it was great and everything, but Bungie was like, "That's ours." You can't do that shit. Microsoft is like, "Hey."
So did they shut it down completely? Can you still play it? And I heard that you could still play it, but they just don't update it. And I know you can't stream it and things like this. Or was it shut down completely?
I think it was shut down completely finally.
So one thing that's notable about that news with Bungie getting this new partner is they did mention, I don't know if I read it on their website or in the article that I saw about this bit of news, but like they said that they're trying to figure out a way to forge different paths. Like, and it kind of almost alludes to what I've suspected for a long time with Bungie is that like a lot of the downfalls that we've seen in Destiny come from their partner in Activision. Like in the way that they've rolled out their microtransactions and stuff like that with Eververse and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, with Activision.
Yeah.
Well, they have said their goal is to self-publish, and they said that before the Activision deal as well. After they left, after they bought themselves out of Microsoft.
Right.
Yeah, I'd really like to see Bungie go back to its roots and do what it believes is right, not what their overlords think is right, basically.
Exactly.
Because before it was
self-publishing Destiny. I imagine it would have been so much. It would have went.
Oh, I almost guarantee you it wouldn't even be out now.
So much content got ripped out of it, and, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And
They're
then
stifling creativity.
Also. Yeah.
So
it's like, no, you can't release all of that. Let's release it in chunks and charge them extra for it. You know?
Yeah. I personally don't like. I'm not a huge fan of Destiny's like DLC model either. It's worse than COD. And the fact that they're going to go and charge you $40 for a season pass, but the season pass only includes 2 out of like the 10 DLCs they'll give you. And they don't even do passes beyond that. They only do it for the first ones just to get you in and hooked, and then move on, which is it's really stupid, I think.
I agree.
Yeah.
So like every DLC after that, what even for Destiny 1 was what, 15 or 20 bucks a piece, I think. After the deal, after the expansion pass. So that was
Well, look at Rainbow Six and their DLC, and they're just buying other characters, man.
I don't like that one's actually worse, I think. Actually, that's probably the worst.
That's a $500 game.
Oh, and by the time you're done, yeah, because you're gonna buy a season pass for every year it's out. So we're up to year 3. The base game was $60. It had a season pass which included just the first year's content, but then you have 2 years content after that, which is $30 a piece. So now you're already up to $120 for the game, not including anything else.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it includes all the maps and characters of that season, but like now every year to stay up on top of the meta, especially if you're playing competitively, you're stuck in this loop of buying shit tons of DLC or expensive DLC.
The meta's so good.
Yeah. Siege is actually Siege has come a long way since its release too. Like I have to give them props for that. It is actually
Ubisoft
game
is
was
good at that.
The worst when it came out. Siege was terrible.
yeah.
Ubisoft is great at sticking with their franchises and improving them over time. Saw that happen with Division as well.
Yeah,
Not to the extent that it did with Rainbow, but
yeah, Division definitely improved quite a bit, and I'm hoping that they stick to that value in 2 when they release 2.
Does anybody even still play Division? Because that game was like getting resurrected, and then like now you hear nothing about it anymore. Is it just like basically done?
What Division
game
1?
was that?
The Division, yeah.
I don't know.
Oh no, it just got a huge content drop, and they said it was going to be the final one, but they added hooks into Division 2. So everything that you do in Division 1 now is going to earn you stuff that you can transfer into Division 2.
So it's like the Mass Effect character transfer system.
Kind
in a way,
of, but
not as much.
You're earning currency and stuff like that. That shows, like, so for the next year, everything you do, you will start that much better in Division 2, and you'll have all these little cosmetic things and stuff like that to show how dedicated you are to.
That's one way to force people to play your shitty game.
But yeah, it actually plays a lot better. The
no, I actually like
time
Division.
to kill has been shortened, and they've added all kinds of events and stuff. It's actually cool.
Division in terms of their... Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, no worries. Everybody I know that plays the game absolutely loves it now, and they rave about like how great it is compared to how it launched.
Oh yeah.
I feel like we're at a point right now where like game developers are going to start releasing more complete games because there's such a backlash coming from gamers where it's like we're tired of getting these like complete shells of a game that are unfinished, you know.
We kind of touched on that last week, like that everybody's almost conditioned now that everything that comes out is going to be broken, and people are finally like, no, fuck that.
Yep. And Borderlands, even like Borderlands 3, everybody knows that they've been developing it for ages, but the developers are even saying like they don't even want to announce it until it's basically done, you know, like the whole
because
game.
There's like I don't know what the magic timeline is, but like when you announce something and then it's like not ready for too long, people just like give up on it and they just stop caring, right?
Yeah.
Whereas like if the longer you wait and it's like here's the trailer and then it's like a reasonable amount of time that you can look forward to, that I find that like keeps your game alive.
Yeah, well, a good example is like the Division or even Destiny, where it's like at the end of its life cycle, it's one of the greatest games, you know, ever, and it's got so much content in it. But by that point, most of the player base lost its interest. You know, if it was that good from the start, then they probably could have retained their player base. You know.
Yeah, and that's the problem with a lot of games lately. It's just not there is too much of a shell of a game because they want to be able to take just enough out or just enough keep enough just in the game to keep you interested and then sell you the DLC later, which should have been a part of the original game in the first place.
Yeah, and you know, like shareholders and stuff are probably like putting pressure on these developers to get products out as quickly as possible, so they're like launching games not finished, you know.
Yeah.
Coming back to bite them in the ass, though.
That's a problem. It's an inherent problem with games as a service games. Destiny, Division, things like that. That it's like here's a base and we're expanding on it. Those style of games are just hard to do because you can start like if Destiny 2 came out and they followed everything that they did in Destiny 1, people would be like, oh, this is insane. Why is this a new game? Why is this They change it too much. You see what happens. and it has to be a horrible balance. And then you have investors and Activision looming over you, like you have to push the money funnel through here, and it's just
Destiny
that I
should have
think
just been one that was expanded.
yeah, I just think that section of the industry needs to mature a little bit.
Oh yeah,
Because it's a new thing. I mean, Destiny was pretty much the first game to start this games as a service genre.
There's a lot of changes coming real quickly though to the gaming world with like games like Fortnite and like that are such high quality being free to play, and their free to play model being so effective. You know, people are
so wildly different. Like they're like, hey, you could buy stuff, but we don't make you buy anything. Like you buy whatever you want to buy.
Yeah, exactly. So.
And the fact that
last year,
I definitely do like it as a gamer when a company doesn't force money out of me. It's kind of nice. I think everybody likes that.
I think so too.
I think last year was the worst of it all because there's so much backlash from gamers and with the loot boxes with half-ass finished games.
Well,
I think that
whole thing.
Yeah, I think it's going to get
really
slowly better, but it's going to take time.
Well, especially because like Battlefront got a lot of flack too, just because it was Star Wars to begin with. Like if it wasn't a Star Wars game and it had just been a generic shooter and come out with loot boxes, nobody would have cared. But it was the fact it was Star Wars, and it was the game that everybody had been wanting since the first one, because we got all the extra content that we wanted. A story mode, we've got, you know, the different characters, we got more of the space battles and stuff like that. Like now the game is a lot better. I don't know how much people trust it enough to go back, but the game has gotten tremendously better since the launch.
Yeah,
the gameplay is amazing. I like the game.
Yeah,
but,
and it's a lot of fun. It's challenging too. So let's go ahead and go to our next topic, which is kind of actually a little bit of a minor one. I wanted to talk about this one just because it was kind of a game that was close to me for a little while there, which was Elder Scrolls Legends got a new developer, which is kind of a big deal for them because initially with Elder Scrolls Legends, it was a good game. It had a great base and platform, but the problem is the developer was too slow at getting content out. Like the packs and stuff like that. Like I felt it was really hard to compete with Hearthstone and all these other ones.
It was the card game, right? That's
it's a card game. And you could play it on your phone, you could play it on your PC, you could play it on your consoles, you could do whatever you want with it. But it really lacked in the fact that you couldn't do, like, once you got like into the meta and you got into, like, you know, having most of the cards, there wasn't much else you could do after that. So they're really excited about doing this because they're going to be supposedly pushing out more content, and the developer that's working on it, excuse me, knows exactly what they're doing with it. So I'm pretty excited about this one. But it's kind of a relative minor topic for today.
I added a show note beside it.
So I'll let Captain talk about this next topic here. We got a huge dump of different Pokemon games.
Is any of this updates to Pokemon Go, or is this completely separate?
Well, Pokemon Go got its own update, but these are all Switch games coming out, basically.
Yeah, so the first one that was announced is a free-to-play called Pokemon Puzzle Quest. I haven't really looked into it, but it seems it's weird. It's almost like it has this like blocky Minecraft kind of look. It's free to play. It's supposed to be easy accessible for people. I think it's just supposed to appeal to kids. There's this whole like marketing play behind it where they're selling like all kind of merchandise for it and whatnot, yada yada. But the big part of it is that they announced this year's new Pokemon game, which is called Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Pokemon Let's Go Eevee. And this one is sort of divisive amongst fans for a weird reason. It's like a mix of traditional Pokemon with that like traditional RPG elements, and it has Pokemon Go aspects in it,
like the AR style.
Yeah, and so you can transfer your Pokemon from Pokemon Go. Like you can play Pokemon Go, and it connects directly to this Let's Go series. And like the way you catch it, you like flick your little Joy-Con to catch Pokemon, or you can use like a Pokeball, but I think you could use like traditional controls as well. And I'm really excited for it. Like to have like traditional Pokemon do something brand new, I think it's awesome, and connect with Pokemon Go in this way, because like Pokemon Go has like a huge base of people that play it. Like there's millions of people that play it like every day. and it's massive. Of course, it's not as big as it was when it first came out, but it still has like a
Pokemon
really,
Go is pretty flawed though. Like if you go by every Pokemon game ever, where you actually have to battle Pokemon to catch them, and then you go play Pokemon Go and you're just like flicking balls at them and like not using your Pokemon. Like anybody that liked Pokemon and like the whole RPG style and how the whole game played, it was like Pokemon Go, and people were like, "What the fuck is this? This isn't like anything." That's why I stopped playing it.
That's how I felt about it too. But this is like a perfect mix between both of them.
Isn't Pokemon Go more about like the battling?
Well, it's about the battling at the gyms.
The gyms, yeah, but like if you go and catch Pokemon, it's like you're just flicking balls at them and have a random chance.
It's more about the catching on this one.
Yeah, okay.
But
you do have to do a spin shot though. It's very complicated.
Curveballs.
Go?
Yeah, you can do like a curveball.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you can do the same. You do the same in this new one too. Like all the spin shots and whatnot.
I think
either way, like other than Pokemon Go being like a huge success, like that was the one major complaint everybody had was like how you're catching Pokemon had nothing to do with any other Pokemon game.
Yeah, and then
but now you're bringing them in, right?
Yeah.
Well, so then you have the so there's not just the two, like we have the Eevee and Pikachu one, then we also have the Minecraft looking one, which I still don't understand who would ever ask for that, because that one looks like the I'm a Pokemon fan. I've been playing Pokemon since like like the early Game Boy days. Like black and white, old school Game Boy. But yeah, that one just doesn't appeal to me. And then you have the actual Pokemon RPG, which is the actual normal story-based one that you'd normally find on the handhelds, which is coming in 2019. So that's the one that's coming out the latest. I think the other two are coming out this year. And then the actual RPG next year.
A lot of Pokemon fans are really pissed at this news, and I'm like, what for? Because you have your Pokemon Let's Go. Well, you have, Pokemon Puzzle Quest for whoever the hell that's for. Yeah, Pokemon Let's Go, that's supposed to bridge like, original fans and those Pokemon Go fans and bring them together, because that game is also a remake of like one of the first games, which is Pokemon Yellow. And then like for the core fans, you do have your new generation of Pokemon that is supposed to be more traditional RPG series. So, the fact that fans are so pissed about this, like I really don't understand it at all. It's really weird.
Yeah, it's just more stuff that you love.
Yeah, more Pokemon. And then it's also like bringing new people in, bringing those Pokemon Go people into the franchise, and it makes it bigger and better for everybody.
I think the only thing I thought was the problem with this is announcing basically four games at once. I mean, the Eevee and Pikachu one are basically the same game with just different styles. It's basically like Red and Blue or Sun and Moon or any of these, but like that was a flood of games all at once to be announcing. You're like, okay, cool, we're gonna get them in rows or in releases, but like that's a lot of shit at once, man. Like, like give me the RPG.
It's a lot.
Like, forget the first two. Like, just give me the RPG next year. We're good.
They're laughing about Rune dating himself in the chat. They can tell how old you are now. I was just
making me feel old.
Though, like,
apparently, one of the main topics should be how does Couple Robots get his head so damn smooth?
I'm glad you asked. No.
Did you put your head in the Ballo Shino?
The Ballo Shino.
Oh man. But yeah, I don't even know how to feel about a lot of the other Pokemon stuff. Like I was excited for the RPG part because that'd give me a reason to actually buy the Switch. But because I'm one of the few people that has not bought one. That's your
reason? Not Super Smash Bros. Or Legend?
Well, no, Super Smash Bros. Is actually a reason. That's a legit reason. That's the only thing I'm waiting to buy a Switch for.
Zelda or Mario?
Zelda, I don't care.
Get out of here.
Switch just so I can play the only Zelda that I've now played, which is what is that one called on the Switch?
Breath of the Wild.
Breath of the Wild.
I want to play that, but that's also like a huge time sink, which I don't have time for. Now I'm getting to this point where the game gets too big or it's too long. Like I have a hard time getting into it now because I'm like I don't have that much time to begin with. Like
that's why I can't play Bethesda games.
See, that comes back to the being old thing. Like once you get past a certain age, it's like you gotta get what games in you can, man. You get into some of those games and it's like, oh my god, I'm gonna die before I finish this.
That's why Eve is killing me, man. Like I don't have time for that shit.
So
hello?
If it's for me, I'm not here.
So we had another one that was actually kind of a controversial topic this week. It was a controversy when it came out to begin with, and I'm surprised it lasted as long as it did, to be honest. Like, it was in there a whole week or week and a half.
Sorry, guys, my wife is calling. I had to step away for just a moment.
No worries.
How dare you? Tell her you're busy.
It's in the middle of something.
Fucking shit. I'm busy.
What, the school shooting game. I think it was actually called School Shooting, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Or Active Shooter.
okay,
Active
Or
Shooter.
Mass
Active
shooter
shooter,
or something
yeah.
like that. Oh, active shooter.
With like expecting a ton of like flack on this, I think it's dumb they removed it, because anything that has to do with something that happens in America, everybody's like, oh, we should get rid of that. There's like a million war games in like war-torn countries, and everybody's like, that's fun and cool. It's a fucking video game, bro.
Yeah,
This is
except it's
different,
you're
though.
walking through a school and it keeps track of how many civilians you've killed and how many cops you've killed.
Carmageddon, any of those games. You know what I mean? Like, it's not. It's just because like school shootings are such a hot topic that they're like, no, this is not cool. But like
Well,
wars,
it's
and, like,
insensitive, sure, but this guy has been kicked off Steam 3 times, and
okay, so it's a pattern. But
And,
just because
this-
of a game, like I don't know, that seems kind of lame to me.
this guy, they found out his real name finally after doing some digging, and they realized that he's released games under multiple different company names, and he does review manipulation. He's a toxic in the community, and he's.
I
just
still
a
stand by
huge
the
troll.
principle behind it. Like, okay, so that guy should be banned for sure. But like the
Mhm.
principle of taking down a game because of like, you know, maybe it's like a little bit socially awkward or whatever, but it's still a video game. If we were to go off that premise, you should take down every single war game, especially modern war games.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
not
it's
shooting
not the
kids,
same though. Yeah,
you're
you're
not
shooting kids. You're
in a
going through a
school.
schoolyard and shooting kids, and it's
Call
just
of Duty
really
when you go through the
tasteless.
airport. That was huge.
No, that
Yeah.
is true. There was actually men, women, and children you were all shooting up, especially in one of the old Modern Warfare's. It's in part of the story mode. You're like actually
Yeah.
trying to shoot the guy, the perpetrator you're after, but like you could go on and like play the game the wrong way and still shoot men, women, and children going through the airport just trying to get to their location.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I understand the controversy on both ends, on both spectrums. But at the same time, like this guy has got, like, after I heard about that too, is like the guy getting all his games removed again. It's like, okay, so why does he keep making games purposely? And like the game wasn't even really good quality either. It was just like something that looks like he made in a week or two and just threw up because
Yeah, I saw
it
some
was hard to find.
screenshots of it, and I was like, who would even play this? It looks like shit.
No, he's doing it just to troll.
Yeah.
Sotha's in chat put a really good point. Like the biggest thing about this game is that, you know, with all the shootings going on recently, people like to put the blame on everything. Of course, gaming always comes up. But to
Look,
like
they used
have
to
a,
blame music on that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
too.
but to
Remember?
have
like,
a
oh, you listen to
game-
Eminem.
but to have a game that is like directly this like school shooting simulator crap, and you know we're having so much of this go on in our nation, like that just makes the problem even worse for us. Like,
yeah, like
it's-
especially
it's-
when politicians want to blame video games, and it's
Yeah.
not. We know a lot of it. Anybody that has a rational mind knows it's not at all even video games. In fact, a lot of the
No, it's
last
not
like
video games. It's not music. Like remember when like everybody used to blame like rappers and stuff for like gangster shit, and they were like, oh man, it's because of the rap music. Now it's like video games. They just like to blame something.
well, yeah, and then like I mean, really, it all comes down to the one thing that nobody was talking about, and it's kind of funny that like in between the school shootings topic and all these other things that are going on, it really goes on to what's happening in the schools for the kids. Like, never mind the adults that go to the schools for whatever reason, but a majority of the school shootings are from the kids that go to the school because they're either being bullied, they're being harassed, or something happening or another. And it was the same thing. Like, it kind of touches topic on another show I've been watching lately. It's called that 13 Reasons Why on Netflix. And a lot of it like stems down to stuff that just happens in everyday school life.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's back to the Call of Duty point. That was a scene in a game, and this game was this is what it is.
Yeah,
yeah.
that's true.
And
That is like a difference, but the fact that it was still there, and you look at it like a lot of those other shooters. Anytime there's a civilian area, like yeah, it's not in a school, but there's always civilians in all these shooting games at some point. You know what I mean? And
That's
you
a
can
straight
shoot
up
them.
troll move, though, to have come out with that.
I'm just
Yeah.
talking like about the principle. I'm not like that guy's game obviously is bad and it's gone because he's a fucking idiot. But
Yeah.
like
Complete asshole.
it's just like highlighting an extreme version of stuff that's already kind of in a lot of games.
Yeah, yeah. It basically made a point of all the stuff in games that people were already kind of iffy about in the first place.
I mean, if you really want to dive down the rabbit hole on it, you can get into like freedom of speech and like. You know
I
what
was
mean?
just
Like,
gonna say, like, this is a
this
a
could
rabbit
go
hole
crazy.
that-
Yeah, like so we should probably just
Yeah.
like move on from it.
But freedom of speech
This
doesn't.
could veer into politics really quickly.
100%, man. You can be touching on
Yeah.
like gun control, amendment
Oh,
rights.
absolutely.
Like,
Yeah,
fucking
we
freedom of
definitely
speech.
we definitely won't touch on that today.
No, we should
Or
probably
ever.
never touch on that ever on Twitch, but
I
So-
talk about politics on Twitch, but probably not on this show.
no.
So let's.
And obviously, everybody's gonna have a different stance on it. So.
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
So, but real quick though, before we move on from that, I do feel like sometimes maybe that sort of stuff shouldn't be as taboo. Like maybe that's why everything is so screwed up these days, because it's like, no, don't talk about it. Don't talk about it. Yeah, okay.
Well, no,
So,
I always
then you're
believe.
letting everything be all messed up.
I believe everything should at least always deserve a conversation. It's the problem is that
We don't have a good dialogue.
No, and then there's a lot of people that take a lot of stuff way out of context and get way too offended too fast, which is one of my other biggest problems. Like when I was a kid, man, you could go and say half of the things. I mean, I could say a quarter of the things now that I used to be able to say when I was a kid, or I'd hear when I was a kid, and like it's not
You
the
can
same.
still say them. You
Well, you
just
can
get a
still
lot
say-
of shit now.
Yeah, now you get shit about it basically. So it's a whole other thing. But anyway, back to our news.
Yeah. There's
Um,
a special place in hell for people like that guy who released that game, though. I'll just
Yeah.
say that. What a douchebag.
So our next topic goes on to actually something we talked about a few weeks ago, and I jokingly said it because a guy had actually done it. But now Star Citizen has released a $27,000 ship pack. What the hell?
It's more like 28,000 because you have to already have at least spent 1,000 to be able to use the stuff you get. For
Oh my
$27,000
god.
back.
So I think the moral of this entire subject is that we should all be streaming Star Citizen because those people have a ton of money.
Right?
People that like that game.
Dude, it's ridiculous.
And it's,
Like, what did they crowdfund like last year? Like 100 million or something crazy?
Yeah,
Like,
it got insane.
I think it's-
Has anybody bought this pack yet? Do we know?
I grabbed a couple.
Yeah,
Well,
I
wanna
picked up
do
a couple
one
of
as a
some
gift.
spare like pocket
Yeah,
change,
yeah.
you know.
You know, you do a giveaway for one and keep one for yourself,
Exactly. Exactly.
or buy it 3 times like I did with Destiny.
but I literally couldn't even fathom this.
Destiny.
Who's doing that? Like, I guarantee someone's like people. And not even one. I
Well,
guarantee there's gonna be a lot of people that probably do it.
So there's
It's
already a
just
guy.
crazy.
They announced him. I think it was like a year ago that actually bought all the games and it equaled out to this much. And like now they're releasing a pack simply just to do that. Like
I
Can't
think
get
maybe
a
they
deal. Can I
looked
get a
at
deal?
what the most somebody had spent added up to, and then they were like, "Let's make a pack that's that much." Do you think that's how
Basically.
they got to that number?
well, the guy that actually bought all the game or all the ships to equal out to that much, they invited him to the studio for like a day tour to play the game on the site with the developers and everything. They took pictures with
Fucking
him.
right, they should. He basically owns the company now.
Yeah. Here's somebody's salary for a year. Good
He's
luck.
now their biggest shareholder.
He's like the fucking
Yeah.
CEO.
Oh god.
This through, guys.
So, but
That's just crazy, man. Like Star Citizen, it needs to just like hurry up already.
I don't even
Maybe
think it's the
because
problem.
That's
Is
more than they make in a year, dude. That's more than probably a lot of people make in a year.
I'm legitimately curious to see how many people have actually bought this. Like
I know, I
I'm
was
really
just looking for it. I can't find anything.
Well, it's pretty recent, so like I don't know.
You know somebody bought it already. No,
Yeah,
Oh, you know some guy to do it.
people are crazy as shit.
But it falls along
Somebody
the
probably bought it and then Dick posted first somewhere.
right. So you got to look for Star Citizen and then first.
yeah.
Here he is. There's the jackass that has too much money to spend.
He like shows his receipt. I
I
couldn't
remember
believe it.
I was really excited to play like the recent free weekend they had, and I remember Tommy, you warned me about it, and I was like, oh, this game is so cool, this and that. And then like to just have something like this and to see it, like it definitely makes me want to stay far away from the game now, because this is just like
Yeah,
why?
it's like why would you even do that?
I don't get it.
Yeah.
I think you can go as far down the rabbit hole with this game as you want because it's never going to release.
Yeah, it's already 4 years late.
Yeah.
Trying to do everything. We've touched on this so many times. So it's just
Was that like a Kickstarter project or some crap like that?
Yeah.
It started as one, and then we were like, they kept boasting it was going to come out soon, and they kept delaying. Now they just don't even say it's ever coming out. They're just like, oh, we're still working on it.
Yeah,
Keep
they're like
giving us money.
Keep
And-
giving us all your money.
Yeah.
It's a savage, man. Like
Yeah.
they should have
We'll
just
give
No
you
Man's
something
Sky
soon.
and released the broken game and then fixed it later.
They're-
That would have been better.
they're basically turning that company into a walking meme for money.
Dude,
Like,
it's the
it's-
greatest
yeah.
business model ever. Come up with a crazy idea that could never be completed, and then ask for money.
Oh, that's 90% of Chris Roberts, the guy that's behind it all. He's done that. Like if you ever look at his career, as a whole. I did this right when I started seeing the game. I'm like, Chris Roberts, I've heard that name before. I'm like, where have I heard that? And I went and looked him up, and I realized he's only, out of 17 titles he's worked on in his career, he's only released 3. That's set, and everything else has been canceled. Everything else has done has been canceled.
He's
not a very
dreamer,
good
man.
ratio,
He's got
man.
big dreams.
Oh, he's a dreamer. He's totally a dreamer. But
Don't let your dreams be dreams, you know? Just do it.
now his dreams are memes, like everybody's been saying.
Don't let your dreams be memes.
Yeah, and they become memes.
Peacock, you gotta let him fly.
I think that was how the Beatles song went.
I think that's the only other company taking like any sort of heat off of Sean Murray. Like that's pretty much it.
Yeah, it's the only guy. So our next topic is actually the Atari VCS. Pre-orders went live this past week, and it ended up crashing Indiegogo's website, apparently due to demand. I personally,
What is this? Is this like an old school Atari?
no, this is a new Atari system, a brand new Atari system they're trying to bring out.
Wait, they're breaking into the console war?
Trying to.
Again?
Current gen, like,
What's next? What the fuck was that other one? Not Dream something.
memes dreams.
No, there was another one. It was like way ahead of its time.
I don't. Some of it is not new, but it's preloaded with tons of games. Actually, no. Actually, I could be wrong. I could be entirely wrong on this. I only looked at it as a peaking thing because it was in the middle of the week.
It's not
but...
like the classic version, right? Because those
Dreamcast. That's what I'm thinking of.
Oh, Dreamcast.
Oh, somebody's
Take
talking
a
to me. I didn't hear it.
Dreamcast.
Yeah,
That's
I
old
just didn't
school
hear the
too,
whole
though.
thing.
I had a
Wonderful.
Dreamcast.
I
But it was
loved
super
my
ahead of its
Dreamcast,
time,
dude.
man.
Dreamcast was
It was.
awesome.
I did not understand. Saw that Ethernet port on the back. They also had that on the Saturn.
Oh, the controller
Why
had
would I
a little
wanna play
screen
it?
on it?
Why would I want to play with other people?
So it's actually, yeah, I guess it is actual
Yeah.
the equivalent of a Nintendo, like one of the new classic Nintendos is basically loaded with a bunch of old games, or the classic games.
I thought they had one of those, like, because we were looking at them last year. We ended up getting the SNES Classic, but they had Atari ones too. where they
Those
had, like,
the
all
Atari ones have always been third party. Atari themselves are releasing this
Oh,
one.
like,
okay,
you
so
just
this is
plug them
like a
into the
legit
TV.
From
Yeah.
actual Atari, okay.
These bad boys, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm talking about right there.
Mhm. I have an SNES Classic right next to it too. I love it.
I'm about to plug that thing in and start streaming some Super Mario World or something.
Oh, I love it, man.
That game's so good, dude.
Zelda.
I started
Yep.
playing Chrono. You gotta get Chrono Trigger if you have SNES Classic.
Oh, yeah.
I started playing that on stream a couple weeks ago, and I was like, okay, I get it, but I don't know. It didn't age well for me in that way.
I've
They
been
need to
playing
remake that
Super
one.
Ghouls and Ghosts, man. If you want to play a game that's hard, oh my freaking
Oh,
god.
Ghouls and
Maybe
Ghosts.
the
Highest
hardest
level.
video game ever made, dude.
Can't beat
The furthest I've gotten is in the third level. That's the furthest I've gotten, and that was like after like a week of trying.
Nobody likes a bragger. Okay.
right? Show up.
So we talked about this a little bit earlier on. I don't know if it was pre-show or we actually talked about it during the show, but PUBG Corp filed a lawsuit against Epic Games. But this is back in like the lawsuit itself was back in January, which happened to be kind of coincide with the time that PUBG's like, your game's a little similar to ours, and then everybody was like, oh my god, they're gonna sue him, and they never said anything. Then all of a sudden it comes out this week that they actually did file the lawsuit at that time.
I still feel like this is just them being like, man, we're getting crushed by Fortnite. What's our last ditch effort?
Yeah.
What was funny is at that time they were not PUBG was still at the top at that time, so it was
Yeah,
still.
and then they
Yeah.
stopped making the game, though.
That's
the
the
problem.
It was the long con. They just did it as an insurance policy. Like, what if our game dies? We'll pre-sue Fortnite.
Because of this one, yeah, and because it was always trailing behind it by just like a few game categories in Twitch, and then all of a sudden people like Ninja, Shroud, and all these other big guys started picking it up, and it became huge, especially after the Drake Ninja thing, which really kind of I think rocket launched it.
Shroud,
So
he's still
many
mainly
new
doing
people
Twitch,
Dude, even
isn't he?
still, Shroud goes on and plays Fortnite once in a while, and he's just like looks sad because he's like he says it. He's like, man, I wish PUBG was this good.
Yeah,
I know, because they're doing it wrong. Like Epic just said, we know you're using our engine, but step aside, let us show you how to make a battle royale game. Because the weekly content, the skins, the updates, the living world that it's in, and it's so good.
Yeah.
It's just a
And if
far
PUBG was
There's a
like
reason
that,
why everybody's playing it.
It's
It's
almost like
terrible
watching
at
like a
it, though.
PS3 game, like an old PS3 game, versus like a really good PS4 game. Like that's the difference. Like Fortnite's just a level above. You can't even compare them.
well,
Yeah.
if you look at PUBG on mobile, that has weekly challenges and weekly and rewards and all this stuff, and then that's made by Tencent in China, and they also make Ring of Elysium or Europa using the PUBG engine and stuff, but it's so much more refined with challenges and loot drops and like that carrot on a stick that makes you want to keep going. That's all PUBG needs to do. They should just let Tencent jump in,
right? At this point, I mean, at this point, they need help. They know it.
They should let EA go in there and start doing pay to win.
But it was so another thing we brought up earlier too is
should go free to play.
Right. It should be fucking free to play. As soon as they had like
consider how good
keys,
Fortnite is, it's like how can you have a game that you have to pay for that is worse than that?
Yeah, exactly.
But they had such a bad hacking problem. I think free to play would have been a bad idea. Like maybe now that they've got that kind of under control, they could start dialing the price back. But
yeah, I mean, you look at Fortnite makes more money than any other game in the industry
on a monthly basis too.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
because skin equals win.
I mean, aside of maybe WoW. WoW is probably the only one that makes more than them because of the MMO.
I spend an embarrassing amount of money on Fortnite skins, and I don't even play it that much. I just
that's me too. I've spent way too much on Fortnite skins, and I literally never play the game.
Like that's just cool.
I get on for 2 matches, get destroyed instantly when I land, and then I'm like, all right, that's enough Fortnite for me today.
Yeah, like on top of that, like they go and release skins like that Leviathan and the Raven, and they're $20 a pop too. Like it's not even like 2,000. You're like, how much is 2,000? Oh my god.
And it's like, oh okay. But you have to spend $25 because they don't sell the V-Bucks in that pack.
Yeah,
they make you get the extra V-Bucks. It's brilliant. It's all brilliant. And I'm in full support of it.
To answer on Skeptic's question, no, Brandon Green created the mods for Arma, and then they made for Arma 2 and then 3, and then it moved into H1Z1, which turned itself into its own mod, and then he said screw them because they weren't following the direction he wanted and made his own game. But so yeah, it was really Brandon Green, the guy.
H1Z1 was kind of like the first real popular.
It was the first mainstream version.
That was definitely the big dog for a long time.
Yeah, the Arma one was a mod that started out with that, and it was actually pretty good. I played it back in the day, and I was like, "This is a pretty cool mode. I wish they would do more like this." And then that's pretty much around the time everybody's like, "Hey, let's do that," and then they bring it into H1Z1 because it had an easy enough engine to work with. Although that engine seems really dated now because it just doesn't play the same.
There's still such an appetite in the public for these battle royale games, though, man. Seeing H1Z1, which is a game that's been out for a long time, a lot of people considered to be dead, come out on PS4. And get 4.5 million downloads on its first day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow. Dude.
That was also version 1.0 too. They all of a sudden released this finished product that was way different from the PC version too. Apparently,
yeah, they changed
it got a
enough
surge
to where
on
it
PC.
actually is pretty legit on PS4 too. I've been enjoying the hell out of it actually.
I haven't played it. I have it downloaded. It just time.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So let's get into our big thing. So we had. Oh, I didn't include the link for this. So Microsoft denied rumors this past week of the Crackdown 3 delay. They stopped everybody and it's like, no, guys, Crackdown 3 is still in development. It's still coming. We've got more coming at E3 for it.
Which Terry Crews said it's not delayed, and I believe anything that man says.
Oh yeah. Oh, and they feed him information directly whenever he works on a product, and they'll tell him what he can and can't say. But if he's telling you that it's not canceled, it's definitely not canceled because they keep having him come back apparently for mocap work for it because he's like the star of that one.
He also said Old Spice is like the best body wash ever.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I surprisingly believe him on that because I buy it myself. I'm not gonna lie.
There you go. Unicorns pop up in the shower and shit. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Just like the commercial.
I think the only better commercial is the State Farm commercials with that guy from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, the Vulture.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he always pretends to be something.
Mm-hmm.
This mess has been in development hell for like years, and Xbox is like struggling to try and catch up with like PlayStation and even Nintendo for their exclusives. Like they really don't have any hard hitters. It came out with State of Decay, that was a massive fail. Well, not massive. I meant to say
the first State of Decay.
Sea of Thieves was a massive fail. State of Decay is kind of lukewarm.
Like people liked it, but it wasn't anything that was groundbreaking or anything that anybody was talking about. They're like, oh, okay, it's like a better version of the first one. That's cool. There's not really that many bugs.
Players, though.
Yeah, I mean, I played it.
In 2 days.
even Crackdown, like we all know that's not going to be anything groundbreaking. I mean, it may be fun and may be cool, but you know, it's not going to be God of War, Spider-Man. It's not going to be
Detroit.
You know, Smash Brothers, Mario. Detroit. So it's just really weird to see them, you know, in such a weird, interesting place. Like I really feel like this E3 is so important for them because they got to sell Crackdown 3, and hopefully they have more exclusive that they have hiding because they're so behind.
Just
Well,
hope
they gotta-
no, go ahead.
They also got to really like stop really trying to reinvent their IPs. Like some of their IPs that they didn't need reinventing, like the last Gears of War. I loved it, but I hated the loot box features.
Oh, me too. I hate it so much.
Yeah, I think everybody's gonna outgrow loot boxes this year.
Yeah.
And we'll all be better for it.
Yeah.
I think so too.
I need loot boxes. I have to have them.
Well, if they're in Overwatch, you have to have them.
Or
I like
even
Paladins loot boxes are better.
I just dig them in
Alright.
CS:GO. How else am I going to get my
They
They
skin?
actually
them.
are though, because when you open up a Paladins loot box, you get like a
It's-
whole skin
it's-
set. Dude.
yeah, and it's only
And
it's
a
only
new weapon
cosmetic.
and a voice pack. It's like pretty dope.
Yeah, I just still don't understand all the things on the screen in that game. I'm still getting used to it.
So we got a trailer for you today for another, like talking about all these battle royale games today, is another game called Fractured Lands Battle Royale. It's kind of like Mad Max meets Borderlands kind of battle royale, and it's got some almost cross-out features to it too, actually, for their battle royale. Because you could play it on the ground, you could play it in a car, you could go drive around, do all your normal stuff.
It almost sounded like you were about to start Dr. Seussing.
Right. Almost. We're gonna go show you guys a quick trailer of that, and just stay tuned. So yeah, that was the trailer for Fractured Lands. I actually like the way it looks. I want to try to. I hope it's a free to play game. I hope it's not something, that it's going to cost you a bunch of money to get into or anything. But it looks
I
good.
think it looks fantastic. The whole concept that looks like you can like upgrade your car.
Yeah.
Put different like weapons and like armor and crap on it. That looks kind of fun.
Yeah. So it's not just picking up your guns and all that stuff. You're actually picking up stuff for your car too, which is also a weapon, and your own weapon in that.
Like I like looking at it. I hope there's like some legit kind of survival aspects to it. I've been playing a little bit of Darwin Project lately, and I've been liking that because there's like that whole thing of where like you're gonna freeze to death. You got to create a campfire, dumbass.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty cool, man. That game looks legit.
Yeah,
I want to
didn't
know
realize
who was
they were on foot
showcasing
parks.
that. Like whoever was playing that and like missing all their shots.
Right.
I want to find somebody and leave YouTube comments to that guy.
This one really intrigues me because a lot of battle royale games nowadays are so samey, and this one, it looks really different, visual standpoint, and the fact that you drive the car, you can upgrade it and stuff like that. Like it looks really, really cool to me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of good battle royale stuff coming out on the
Yeah.
horizon. And each with all very kind of unique stuff going on.
Yeah, that's true. Like, God, what's that one Battle Right, they're doing Battle Royale. Like I'm
Yeah.
really interested to see that one because there's no guns in
It's
Battle
a,
Royale.
it's a top down, and it's only
Yeah.
heroes, and like it's kind of similar to how I feel about the Paladins one. Like between Paladins and Battle Right, they're doing hero Battle Royale, not generic character Battle Royale, which is gonna possibly be pretty good and different.
Mm-hmm.
If any of you guys have touched on or played that the Paladins, the Realm Royale, man, they've polished it up a ton, and the game plays super smooth.
Nice. Yeah, I'm tempted to try that once it's available more. I applied for the beta for that one and I didn't get into it.
It's open to everyone now.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's an open beta now.
Okay, cool.
Well, it's open alpha. They're not.
Is it on
officially in
Steam?
beta
Oh,
yet.
okay.
But they're supposed to be. I was watching Minnie Morgan last night, and she's a Paladin's partner, and she was saying there was going to be some big news today at some point about Realm Royale, but she couldn't say what it was.
Interesting.
But she mentioned it would bring a lot more players to the game. So I
One
imagine
last
it might be
PSA about Fractured Lands. They got a beta coming up soon, and if you sign up for it, you get like instant access. So I'm gonna put it in chat for anybody that's interested.
Yeah, I might get
I'm
that.
interested.
So there you go. You
Interested.
sign up, you get your code like within minutes.
I didn't even know that. Let me do that for myself too.
Stop the stream. Stop it.
Hold on, guys. Hold the phone. Are you telling me this is what I'm gonna get? No, I'm just kidding. All right, so let's go. Actually, so some of our biggest topics of today. We're running a little over time. It's perfectly fine. We've got lots of space today. We're getting into our E3 news and leaks, which has kind of been like our hot topic. We only got about a week left till E3, and there's a lot of stuff that's coming out. So one of the big things that got talked about for anybody that attends E3, which since it's become more public now, is they banned backpacks randomly and adding a bunch of bag checks, which was kind of random, I thought, because it's the first year anybody's ever done it, because everybody carries backpacks. Any media person or even standard bystander will go and just get a backpack to carry all their loot, whatever they get at the convention itself, or conference, I should say, because it's not a convention. And it's been kind of weird. I didn't really figure out why they did that.
Yeah, I'm not a
State of the
fan
world,
of
man.
this. I'm not a fan of this because a lot of people go to E3 and you're going to mingle and whatnot, and there's so much merch that they sell, and you want to, get merch and exclusive merch too, like whether it's figures and shirts and stuff. And then like for people that want to, bring their Switch or something and link up and play, it's like you can't really do that anymore. It's really stupid.
Well, they're not banning all bags, just backpacks.
Oh, just backpacks? Oh, okay.
So they
Could I
said
wear a satchel?
you gotta get a
about a
stylish
fanny
man
pack?
bag.
Fanny pack's
Okay.
probably acceptable, and a satchel. Indiana Jones has one. It's not weird.
But 12 by 15 inches by 6 inches deep. That's a pretty sizable like messenger bag. So I mean, you just. But it's weird though. Why can't I have a backpack that I can have the
that's
same
stupid.
size
You're
bag?
gonna
as
have
long as
it's
it has a shoulder strap. Is that a requirement?
Maybe it's they're worried about people.
Makes sense.
Maybe they're worried about people bumping into stuff with their backpack, which happens more often than you think. Maybe that's behind it.
Yeah.
They actually released the schedule also for E3, which is pretty exciting. We're gonna actually try to do. We haven't finalized it yet, but we're gonna be trying to do some post everyday coverage for E3 to kind of talk about what was released in the conferences that day, kind of figure out and give you guys the news of what's doing that. Well, we're gonna figure that out and let you guys know. We'll keep it updated on Imperium News, Imperium.news, and also on the social media once we figure that out. But we're gonna be trying to cover a lot of these things each day for Monday through Friday, and then even cover more the biggest topics on our show that following weekend. So one of the other ones was the conference, Sony E3 conference leak for all the stuff that they're going to be showing off, which was actually kind of interesting. There was a lot of stuff in that. There was some stuff in there that I wasn't even expecting. Like, I mean, Last of Us Part 2 we knew. Everybody's kind of got an idea that a new Splinter Cell is coming. But we also got a name for it. Devil May Cry 5 is going to come out. The backwards compatibility, which is like a huge thing, all of a sudden is coming. So they play PS2 and 3 games on PS4. We're gonna apparently getting a new Death Stranding trailer, which I'm not surprised by that one because they kind of release one every year. But it's like, okay, tell us about what the game's about, not just what's his face on holding a baby every time.
Yeah, we need to see gameplay soon.
Yeah, gameplay. I really believe they should get to it.
I want to see baby gameplay.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Baby gameplay. Not like Deadpool baby legs, right?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That's what the whole game is.
Sorry, that might be a minor spoiler for anybody who hasn't seen it yet, but
We'll cut it out in post.
right. Vanquish 2. There's like a lot of stuff on this. Like even Kingdom Hearts 3, Beyond Good and Evil, we knew that was coming. Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater remake. So is that like the original Metal Gear Solid?
Really?
Yeah.
No, Snake Eater is Metal Gear Solid 3.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Which is the one that's set before all the other
Which
ones.
I don't even know. Yeah, I don't even know why that. Out of all of them, why that one? Like, why not do the original Metal Gear Solid on PS1 from PS1? That would have been a good
That
one.
would be dope, dude.
That was a great one.
Didn't they
Was
do
that
a
the one where
remastered
you
collection
had-
on PSP?
It was somewhat recent. Yeah, it was like last gen. But to do Snake Eater, I would actually like that because it's been years and we had never got a remaster or anything like that. For that one.
And this one we talked about a little bit last week. Actually, is kind of surprising. Is the Final Fantasy VII remake launch trailer ending? Oh, the launch trailer. Like they gave us news just last week that Final Fantasy VII, the remake, is like years away. Not just like next year. It's like 4 or 5 years away because they keep having to restart development on it. Basically,
It's just such a horrible studio.
yeah. Basically, yeah. Like they basically were just not happy about that.
Freaking amateurs.
Yeah.
They even said something about like Bloodborne 2. Like to me, this one just seems like I want to believe it. It seems awesome. It seems like such a fever pitch dream of like announcements.
Yeah,
It's so weird.
I'm not sure how real that one is really, but
And
it's
then like
Well, they had a
Borderlands
teaser.
3. I think everybody was excited about Borderlands 3 being announced at E3, and then I heard some news recently that like the game itself is being delayed. And they haven't even announced the game yet, and they're already delaying it.
Yeah.
Announcing the delay.
the other one we had a big leak for, which was automatically turned into actual news, was Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which really seems getting news about this a year after they came out with another Assassin's Creed.
Every Assassin's Creed get leaks. It happens all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they started it with the keychain, and then they're like, you know what? Well, fuck it. We'll give you guys a short little thing, and then they do, they show a guy getting Spartan kicked off the side of a cliff, basically.
Yeah.
Ancient Greece.
Yeah, so like that's kind of
That's
a
kind of cool.
that was something
Yeah,
different.
I think it would work well.
Shit, like Greek mythology stuff. That's what drew me into God of War, and then I was sad that now it's like Norwegian, but I still got to play the new one.
Oh god, it's so good.
Yeah, it looks
It's
great.
so good.
So then we get into the next thing where Walmart apparently leaks another game, as if they haven't leaked enough this year's E3.
They're on a roll.
Right? they leaked Team Sonic Racing, which was, I mean, I don't know how many people care about Team Sonic Racing. I know I don't, personally. I'm just like, oh, it's another wannabe Mario Kart, yay!
Yeah, I just want another Mario Kart, man, so bad.
Yeah,
Right. So I mean, like,
Although
oh, go ahead, sorry.
no, go ahead. I was just gonna go on a rant about Mario Kart, but
But yeah, it's just like
here.
every. It seems like, yeah, like this year Walmart has been like the biggest culprit of leaks ever.
yeah, they're horrible. It's usually like Amazon, Norwegia, or whatever. Some off. Like
I think 90% of leaks are like purposefully leaked, man.
Oh sure.
They're just trying to build hype about games and stuff.
Well, I mean, if you took away all those games that they leaked, there really wouldn't be that many leaks this time of the year already. Like we've gotten maybe 5 other real leaks that were actually confirmed.
It's nice for all the leaks to come out in one spot, right? And just have them centrally.
Appreciate that.
centrally
Yeah.
located, yeah. Makes it convenient.
Yeah, it makes our jobs easier.
So this goes into another topic that actually started just breaking, I think, just yesterday, where apparently there's been a Steam bug in Steam that means somebody could have taken over your PC at any given time, and they apparently just patched it also.
Good.
But
Yeah, I was in your PC yesterday, bro.
Mm-hmm.
damn, that's why my internet was so slow. Damn it.
Weird. It's weird in there, man. It's weird in there.
Weird. Don't look at his browser history, guys.
Oh god, no. Delete. No, I'm just kidding.
Don't
So-
watch porn.
Yeah.
Overwatch porn.
So they show this off and talk about it, and I was like, oh my god, like this was in there for a while too.
Yeah, it's crazy how it just got. Well, I don't know how long it's been discovered, but the fact that they just like stopped it is crazy, and it's been there for so long, and no one's really talking
I didn't
about
even
it.
know about
Yeah,
it.
I think
in the
I don't.
Discord, I was like, really?
I don't even think
Damn.
anybody knew about it, because even if you go look back and look for this vulnerability, like nobody ever talked about it. So it was kind of like a really hidden,
Wild.
weird thing that was going on. But
yeah.
yeah. Some of the other news before we get to our big topic this weekend is Crew 2 beta was going on. I don't know who got a chance to try it. I tried it for maybe a half an hour, 40 minutes. Corey,
I played it.
what did you think of it?
It's better than the Crew 1. It's fun. I don't really see myself really buying it or whatnot. It's really weird that they decided to make a sequel to the Crew of all games, Ubisoft.
It seemed really out of place. Yeah, like it didn't. No, the first one was kind of lukewarm response too. Like it wasn't anything anybody was talking about. It wasn't anything anybody was really being like, "Oh my god, I have to play this." Like it was cool when they first launched it, but aside of that, it was like, eh.
But it is better. Like the cars don't feel as arcadey. It's it kind of feels like driving feels a lot like GTA. Like there's a lot more weight to it, which I really like. And it still has like those arcadey elements of like the different things that you can do. So it is. I think it is a better game, but I don't know. It's such a weird time, and I don't know. It's just so weird to me.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like the graphics definitely got a big overhaul in this one on the PC version anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you were right though. Like the driving, especially the boat driving, actually feels a lot less arcadey than it did before.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I mean, it still has arcade campy features like the nitro meter, and you can get it by like, brushing by things and not hitting, but not quite hitting it.
I was laughing so hard when I was flying a plane and I accidentally hit nitrous, and I was like, "Wait, this could like a plane with nitrous? Like what?"
I got mad because I was like, I wasn't using a controller for it, and then it shoves me in the plane, and I'm like, how do I go up and down? What the hell? And they don't even tell you how to, like, what the controls are on screen, like they do everything else for whatever reason in the plane. And I'm sitting there, I'm crashing into everything, like trying to figure it out. And then it goes out of the worst controls for PC. It's like shift and control, right? Shift and control.
Because I was playing with one of my viewers, and they were on PC, and they were like telling me like their controls and whatnot, and it was so weird, like how they like set up those controls. Like, you really like, did you test this? Like this, and they had to like rework or remap all their key bindings. It was crazy
For the plane stuff.
Just for everything.
Like the regular controls were all right for me. It was the plane that threw me off really bad. That kept crashing into stuff. Like, it didn't make sense. Like, why don't you make flying like any other flying game that you use keyboard and mouse, like Battlefield 4, for example. I've been playing that a lot with friends the last couple days. And that's easy, super easy to get into to fly.
Oh, yeah.
Compared to this. Another one, just before we get to our top story of the day, is Evolve's dedicated servers are finally shutting down. Like, they're finally going in the phases of shutting down the game itself. They've already announced it, like, I think it was over a year ago now, that they stopped development, doing anything else there. Now dedicated servers are going away, so it's only peer-to-peer, basically back to what it used to be. And the free-to-play portion of it that everybody got is now going to be gone. Which is weird, because they're basically making you go back to the original game and only playing that content, which doesn't make any sense. Like, just leave the free-to-play thing and make it peer-to-peer, but oh wait, that requires work. Okay, we don't want to put work into it. You're gonna go back to what it used to be anyway.
Yeah, I mean, going back to speaking of things that are ahead of their time, I kind of feel like Evolve was.
Yeah, this one hurt me a little bit, because like, even thinking back to Evolve, like I had so much fun playing like the beta and whatnot, but when you get the full game, I feel like at its core, Evolve was a good game. It's just everything around that, same with Destiny. It's just like there's not much to it.
Yeah, it was very simple. It didn't. If they had done like junior monsters where multiple people could do, you could go and hunt something small, like team versus team, basically. And then where it's not just the behemoth or the giant monster, you could do smaller monsters and change it up a bit to give you more content. It would have been cool, but they really didn't put much in terms of actual game content. It was like, hunters are monster, and that's it. You got a couple new levels, a couple new monsters to play, a couple new, hunters to play, and that was it. Like, it wasn't anything crazy.
Yeah.
So, anyway, so let's get to our top story of today, which happened to be the one of the other big. Well, it wasn't really a leak; it was actually an announcement from Bethesda announcing Fallout 76, which apparently it hasn't been. This part hasn't been confirmed that it's an online survival RPG, but everything that leads up to it. There's been somebody supposedly leaking all kinds of stuff about what the game actually is, because Bethesda didn't say.
Yeah.
There's like we got
a battle royale.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody can say pretty much anything for this one.
Yeah.
But what do you guys think?
I think I'm excited because anything Fallout is going to be awesome in my mind. I've always loved Fallout, so
That universe is great, and I think
Yeah, it
everybody
really is.
wants a survival game in that universe. They're saying it's similar to like a DayZ kind of thing, and it's not an MMO, but it is it's like games of service kind of thing. Like we're
Now
talking
they're
about.
trying to stop that. DC mentioned earlier about like people purposely leaking things, and I think there was Tommy. You put up a post about someone supposedly working in Bethesda trying to say that
Yeah.
wait, this isn't a survival game. It isn't BR. This is traditional Fallout, whatever, with co-op and this and that. So,
Yeah, it was this like
who knows at this
4chan.
point?
It was this supposedly this employee posts a 4chan thing that came out, which actually is here. I'll put it here in the chat. But it notes it's like it's still an RPG. It's going to be co-op, but not MMO like. It's supposed to be kind of like Rust, but it's got an actual story aspect to it, or or role playing aspect to it, and all this other stuff. And he goes through this like huge list. Basically saying that Fallout 4 was the actual reason we have this is because the system, like the building system, was supposedly tested in Fallout 4 to be made for this game later on. So it's going to be essentially the same engine, same building kind of mechanics, but a little bit simpler for the type of game it is and all this other stuff. But it's like, what? Another guy, one of the IGN editors, actually put out a. Let's see if I can find it. He put out a timeline like for all of the like Fallout games and where the Fallout 76 kind of takes place, because they know a specific time in the trailer, like oh, it's after this part and after this, and it's like, okay, so he's like, this is where it probably is, and going into that, it's kind of crazy. Like I'm excited. This is something me and my brother talked about a lot when Fallout 4 came out. Like before Fallout 4 came out, they didn't really confirm or deny there was ever multiplayer until like the very last minute. And if they had ever made Fallout 4 even for just a 2-player co-op, I would have been even more into it than I was when I played it.
that's the one thing that's really missing, from Fallout. Is just that real solid gameplay like that with your friends.
Yeah, like even if they
Yeah.
did it Borderlands style, where it's going off of the host's game, and you kind of go back and forth, and you can complete the minor objectives, but the main story objectives, are owned by the host of the game, or that 4-player multiplayer session. But I'm like, could you imagine what the difference of game would be if they had made Fallout 4 even into a 2 or 3 or 4-player co-op? Go and survive the wasteland together, and like the different style of challenges you could actually face with that.
Hell
Be
yeah,
crazy.
that'd be awesome.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It says it was prototyped as a multiplayer version of Fallout 4 originally.
Really
Mhm.
interesting.
Yeah, multiplayer seems to be a given with this one. I'm really excited for it. I think that just my frustration, a lot of people's frustration, comes from the fact that nobody knows what the hell this game is going to be, and like when you're talking about Assassin's Creed Odyssey, like exactly what that game is, and there's so many people that feel like they think this will be a traditional Fallout when it's somewhat not going to be, and I feel like the announcement was just kind of really dumb, like to make ahead of E3. Like we should know what this game is about as soon as it's announced, rather than they announce it and we're all just kind of speculating what the hell is this going to be. And
Yeah, they could have even just said an online RPG. They could have even just put
Yeah.
that line, online RPG, and left the rest of speculation for till E3. But they didn't even give you anybody that. They're just like,
yeah,
it's a game 20 years after the bombs dropped. Like, oh, okay. Like, that's it? I mean,
Yeah,
it was
but
cool.
we're sitting here talking about it.
Yeah.
I'm curious about like what the
Exactly.
world is
They-
gonna be. 'Cause I heard it could just be inside of the actual the shelter. You know what I'm saying? Because the Fallout 76, that could be the shelter 76, and like that's the plate. Like that's where you play the game. Like,
Yeah, and this one really, like, it went, I mean, of course, like, all the rest of the DMs for the Fallouts have all been either they're branch-off stories, like, you know, Vegas, or it's been, like, the linear part of, you know, 1 through 4, and tactics and stuff like that. Everything's kind of followed a convention, but then you're like, Fallout 76, that's not the normal naming convention for any of our Fallout games, so it's a Fallout, that's what leads more to speculation, is it's a Fallout universe thing, but why is it 76 out of everything? Like, why wouldn't Fallout 4 be, you know, Fallout 111, for example?
Right.
I think it's 111.
Probably because it's gonna have new mechanics. It's gonna be a different style game.
Yeah, and we'll see. Like once we get the actual announcement, it'll be really cool to find out like what it's really doing.
Yeah, that's one I'm pretty excited about for sure.
Can it get worse than Fallout 4? I don't think it can get worse than Fallout 4. Fallout 4, I really enjoyed. I like thoroughly enjoyed that.
4, man. I play the crap out of it.
But there's so many instances where I was just like, man, I so wish I could just play this with somebody. Because like you're sitting there playing it by yourself, it's fun. Like you could do that in a lot of Bethesda games. Like I did that for 300 plus hours in Skyrim. But at the same time, even Skyrim, I would like, man, I wish I could play that with somebody. And everybody's like, no, you can have Elder Scrolls Online now. I'm like, no. Elder Scrolls Online feels very like Skyrim-esque, but it's an MMO. It takes all the mechanics you like about the single player portion and take all that away and put MMO portions in it, which is similar, but it's not. It doesn't have the same entertainment value.
Being alone is like bad enough, but then being alone in a wasteland, it's even more depressing. So it's like,
right.
Some co-op multi stuff would be very welcome in my
Or even if they did it multiplayer, where it's like, oh, he's on this side of the desert and you're on this side, and you have to find each other somehow. Like you gotta.
I'm telling you guys, it's gonna be a battle royale. Watch.
with 76 players.
That was my first thought. It really seemed like that for a while because just the developer of it. They're Bethesda, but they were working on some other game. I forgot what it was called. It got canceled, but it was like a shooter. So my mind instantly, I think a lot of people's mind instantly thought, oh gosh, it's going to be some kind of multiplayer, maybe battle royale type game. But you know, thankfully, hopefully, it seems like that isn't the case.
Wasn't that the oh god, now that Sothas is mentioning it, didn't Obsidian also post something the same day? Was like, how do you let a friend down easy? Something like that. Asking for a friend, like, wait, what?
Oh yeah.
This tweet here, I'll put it in the chat. I was like, what? How do you let someone down easily? Asking for a friend. It's not us. Hashtag it's not us. Like, what happened? What happened with that? Oh man. But I couldn't believe that one. That was just crazy. But anyway, I think that about wraps it up for today. Like, I'm pretty much out of stuff that we can go off of. Like, we had a pretty loaded day with all these E3 leaks and stuff like that, which really makes me wonder, like, what's going to happen the week of E3, because there's so much news I'm sure we're going to hear about. Some stuff we won't care about. Some stuff will be really exciting to hear. I'm wondering, like, for this year's E3 is what's going to be the surprise, like, oh my god, here's the announcement, you could download it today kind of news. Because, like, every year it seems like we get at least one of those.
Yeah, I still feel like there'll be a lot of surprises left. So much stuff was leaked.
Yeah.
So I'm sure we're going to see a lot of stuff that was leaked that hasn't been talked about, and we'll see that there as well. But I feel like there's going to be a lot of surprises too.
Yeah,
that's the other thing too with leaks is that sometimes they're not 100% accurate. So
true.
We're still bound to have some surprises coming up.
I don't think we've seen anything about Microsoft's conference, have we? Like,
other than Crackdown was the only thing, really.
Yeah.
I'm most excited for them, like I said earlier, because they're so far behind from everybody. So I'm excited to see what they have to bring to the table.
Like Captain, I know me and you had a show last year where we were talking about some of the big conferences, or we actually like watched the conferences together, and we were like, we watched I think both the Microsoft and Sony and Bethesda that year, and we were both like, is that it? Like. Leaks are definitely heavier this year. I feel like leaks are a lot heavier this year than last year. Last year there was only maybe like a handful of leaks, and then everything else was pretty tight-lipped. But this year there's a ton more. But yeah, I think we're all wrapped up for today. Thank you so much for our hosts and our gracious guests, Couple Robots. If you guys definitely haven't checked them out, definitely do so, along with our other hosts. Captain 22, Drunk Canadian, and Potato Pleb, and myself, RuneShift Gaming. You guys can catch us all on our respective channels just below. Each one of us, you guys can see our Twitch links there. It's definitely an awesome time. I had a lot of fun today. And thank you guys all so much.
Covered a lot.
Thanks, bye.
Covered a lot.
Oh, yeah. Any final words for the day, guys?
Don't go to bed with an itchy butt because you'll wake up with stinky fingers. That's all I got.
Words to live by.
That was interesting.
Anything else? That's good?
Who can follow that? I don't know.
Right?
All of that.
I'm
Alrighty.
really excited for E3 and all that comes with it. Be excited. It's gonna be a lot of surprises, I'm sure, as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it's my Super Bowl, man. This is my
Oh,
I just lose it every year.
yeah.
Oh,
I wish I was going.
I know.
yeah. Alrighty, guys and gals. Thank you all so much for joining us today. I definitely appreciate it. And until next time,
Whoa.
see y'all later.
Later, dude.